Bezrat Hashem, the Gemara this morning, Shabbat 25b. The Gemara is going to speak about the mitzvah of lighting the Shabbat candles. As you know, we got the Torah, and in the Torah there's 613 mitzvot. 365 out of the 613 are mitzvot lo ta'aseh. Lo ta'aseh means do not do. Don't touch this, don't eat this, don't approach to this, don't try this. 248 out of the 613 is mitzvot aseh. Put tefillim, sit in the sukkah, take a lulav, right? Then our rabbis came and they gave us sheva mitzvot aseh, 7 mitzvot that they added to the list of 613, and together it makes 620, right? Out of the mitzvot that they added is the lighting of candle of Shabbat, the lighting of candle of Chanukah, the lecture, reading the Megillah, right? So they added 7 mitzvot like this. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why was it needed to add 7 mitzvot? 613 is not enough. Even in the Midrash says, when they got 613 mitzvot, they started to run away from Har Sinai. Be'emet, the reason the Chachamim added 7 mitzvot is because before we got the Torah, we had 7 mitzvot. The 7 mitzvot are called mitzvot bnei Noach, the mitzvot of the children of Noach. This week's parasha is Parashat Noach, and Noach, right, had already 7 mitzvot. Ever menachai, to believe in God, not to chad v'shalom, blaspheme God, not to practice idolatry, right, not to eat a live organ of an animal, right, not to take somebody else's wife, adultery, to place bate dinim, to place court places, to make justice, right? So all these things were 7 mitzvot existed before the Torah was given. Chachamim wanted us, we had those 7 mitzvot of Bnei Noach is included in the 613. But Chachamim wanted us to receive 613 new mitzvot. So what did they do? They went and they installed 7 new mitzvot, so that makes 613 new mitzvot that we got in Har Sinai. But as this we said, this morning Gemara is going to speak about the lighting of the candles of Shabbat. It says over here, Amar le shani omer adlakat ner b'Shabbat chova. The lighting of the candle of Shabbat, it's an obligation. It's not if you want, you light, if you don't want it. Why? At the end of the Gemara this morning, the Gemara explains what was the reason they installed the light of the candle of Shabbat. Because in the olden days, there was no electricity. So, if people would eat Shabbat meal at night, they wouldn't see what they're eating. And the Gemara explains that a person is satisfied already halfway just by looking at the good food of Shabbat. You see all the salads, you see the way the table is dressed, you see everything is nicely arranged, you see the chalot, you see the fish, you see the chicken, you see the meat, you see everything. So this is something that gives us oneg Shabbat, pleasure of Shabbat. So, in order to have this pleasure, if there's no electricity, they had to install to bring light on the table. And that was the lighting of the candles of Shabbat. So you're going to say, but today that we have electricity, so I don't have to light candles anymore. You cannot say that. Something that was installed by our great rabbis, we need a bed din, we need a court, judges, right, that are greater in number, and they have to be wiser than those rabbis. Greater in number, maybe you can find a lot of rabbis today, much more than other times. But wiser than those rabbis, you would never find. Just to let you know, each one of those rabbis of Anshe Knesset HaGedolah would know 70 languages. Not 1, not 2, not 7. 70 languages. Each one of those rabbis knew the whole Torah by heart. Each one of those rabbis knew magic. Each one of those rabbis knew so many things by heart that it's impossible that one rabbi in our generation would know what they knew. So once something was installed, we cannot take it off. It stays for good. And one of the things, as we said, is to light the candles of Shabbat. Another thing, rechitzat yadayim veraglayim bechamim arvit reshut. To take a shower before Shabbat, This is optional. You take a shower, you don't want. But the Amarav, Vani Omer, right? And the Gemara says, Rav Nachman Barava says, Vani Omer, mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to take a shower. My mitzvah? What's the mitzvah? Where does it say? It doesn't say anywhere in the 7 mitzvot that they installed this. It's a mitzvah to take a shower. So the Gemara says, Damar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Kach haya minago she Rabbi Yehuda ben Elai. This was the custom of one of the rabbis in the Talmud, Rabbi Yehuda ben Elai. Mevim lo areva. He couldn't take a shower. In the olden days, there was no shower. So they would bring like a big bowl, and in the bowl was chamin, hot water that they boiled, right? ורוחץ פניו, ידיו ורגליו, they wash their face, they wash their feet, they wash their hand, ומתעטף ויושב בסדנים מצויצים, and he's sitting and with the clothes of Shabbat, סדנים, it was like sheets, right? It was not even clothes, there was like sheets that they put over them, and דומה למלאך השם צבקות, and he would look like an angel. So to tell you, Baruch Hashem, that today we have a shower, we're so lucky. So it's a mitzvah, right? To take a shower לכבוד Shabbat. Now, if you, for some reason you can't, at least wash your face and your hands and your feet with hot water, lichvot Shabbat, in the honor of Shabbat. So the Gemara is teaching us this morning that lighting the candles of Shabbat is not optional. Therefore, Chachamim even were strict with a person who wouldn't light candles on Shabbat, which means if a lady missed one Shabbat and she couldn't light her Shabbat candles, the next Shabbat she would have to light one extra candle for the rest of her life. Which means if a lady lights every Shabbat 3 candles, 5 candles, let's say 3 candles, and then she missed one Shabbat, starting the next Shabbat, she would have to light 4 candles every Shabbat. Why? This is a knas. This is something Chamim were strict about, that she should remember that she forgot to light one Shabbat. Rav Ovadia Yosef said, in actual today, the ladies do not have to do it. Why? Because in the olden days, if she forgot to light the candle Shabbat, that Shabbat they would eat in the dark. But today that we have electricity, so even if she forgot to light the candles Shabbat, they didn't eat in the dark, they ate still with light. Still, said Rav Ovadia Yosef, it's not an obligation for her to go and light an extra candle for the rest of her life, but it would be good advice that she should add some oil to one of the candles for the rest of her life. If she wants to add one candle, tavo alei bracha. So to tell you, lighting Shabbat candles is a big mitzvah. Baruch Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen.